Well, all right, let's talk about what the hell went wrong with the Los Angeles Chargers going to play the New York Giants. Everyone's talking about the Chargers as this potential threats to win it all. Are they a championship contender? Ultimately, they lose a game that they should not have lost to the Giants. I'm sure at least that's how they feel. What went wrong offensively? Because their defense played all right in this game. It was the offense that was kind of the issue. And a play like this will really show, I think, what went wrong. So it's a designed, pick play essentially to get Ladd McConkey down the field. That's what they're attempting to do right here on a 3rd down and 5. Okay, he's a good receiver, so sure, let's run our offense through him. That makes sense. Herbert's going to take the snap, and the Giants are covering well, which is kind of what they've been doing what they did this entire game, was they really covered well, forced Herbert to have to make a lot of tough throws. But you know what? Herbert's been making tight throws all season when he's had to, so I'm sure he could do it again here, right? Well, actually, yes, but this pass, again, saying that's dropped is tough. It was a tough catch, but ultimately could have been caught by Ladd McConkey. Now, if that happens once, well, who cares? That's one play. But ultimately, this is really a theme for the Chargers in this game, was a lot of, yards left on the table. This one, which was a 3rd down and 7, McConkey again can't quite hang on to that one. Would have been a 1st down. They instead had to punt. This one is a 2nd down and 5. It's Quentin Johnston who can't make that one. He had a couple. This one as well, which was kind of weird. But looked like it went just kind of like right off his helmet. Ends up being incomplete. So yeah, I mean, that was a big part of it, is leaving yards on the table, makes it difficult for the offense. Not really the quarterback's fault, just a tough situation. And also heading over here, speaking of tough situations that aren't really the quarterback's fault, this is just, I never know like what you can do if you're a quarterback about something like this. Herbert takes the snap. Dexter Lawrence is going to get double team blocked, so he puts his hands up and ends up grabbing the football. He returned it a long way as well. The cameraman got fooled by this. It's a great play by Lawrence, but also like, what are you supposed to do as a quarterback? You're trying to make the play, and all of a sudden there's a hand that goes up and intercepts the football. I mean, that's just, if I was quarterback during a play like this, I would lose my mind. That would be the most infuriating thing, I feel like. Now, heading over here, really this is the biggest issue, I thought, with the with this game, is it's going to be man coverage across the board here on a 2nd and 6. Under a minute left, though. So, whilst you could, in theory, run the ball, you're realistically not going to. Defense is playing to pass, and you're going to pass anyway. So, okay, no worries. They need to have someone win one-on-one. Again, it's going to go with Ladd McConkey, who I already showed a couple of his not great plays to start this game. Okay, but still, this is what he has been able to dominate at so far in his career, is these kind of slant routes over the middle as a slot receiver. Herbert's going to take the snap, and as of right here, is there a window? I mean, yeah. I mean, I get why you'd want to make this throw, right? It makes sense, right? It's not necessarily wide open, but again, you're probably not going to get someone wide open. So let's see if you can make this play work. However, watch Andrew Phillips close on that route so well, knocks the football away. Great stuff there from Andrew Phillips, and that was a big part of it. Again, Giants covering well. They spent a lot of money to try and improve their secondary. Well, here it's Andrew Phillips, who didn't sign, but they drafted, but still making a nice play and being able to, set up a 3rd down instead of a 2nd down. Now, heading over here, I did think Herbert made some nice plays, and the Chargers offense in general made some nice plays. So this one's going to be it's a 3rd and 18. So you see Giants, all their defense is back. It's essentially zone coverage, but it's, further back because giving up 10 yards is fine. They'll take that compromise to make sure they get the ball back. Well, Herbert takes the snap. He's going to look down the field. The defensive tackle got tackled, so Herbert decides, well, let's just run up, see what kind of yards we can get. But you're going to see some nice blocking here by, I believe it's Amarian Hampton, who's the back ahead of Herbert. Watch, he makes a nice block and, ends up getting in the way of a couple other defenders, and all of a sudden, they're able to pick up a 1st down on that 3rd down and 18. So good job by Herbert to make that play work. That's not something you typically expect to have happen, is a quarterback scramble for more than 18 yards on 3rd and 18. but they were able to get it. And also heading over here, so you have on this play, this was, Chargers are down 10, trying to get back into it. Quentin Johnson running a go route on the outside. There are two safeties who are back right here. However, when Herbert takes the snap, essentially just Johnson's going to get to his spot quick enough, and the corner did not play this particularly well. There is a window here for Herbert to make this play. Again, Herbert has to get the ball there in a hurry for this to work, but in this situation, it's probably worth the risk to try and get the ball down the field. And as you see, that is a beautiful throw from Justin Herbert. Really good catch from Quentin Johnston, and they're able to make the play. So we still saw some of that, and that is what we've seen from this year's Chargers. Unfortunately, we saw a lot of last year's Chargers as well. I already showed some of the drops and the guys not getting open and things like that. But also this play is just a disaster, really. So the way this play is designed to work is it is a pick play, really. But you can't call it a pick play, you call it a rub route. And what's the difference? Well, so in the NFL, it's not like basketball. In the NFL, you can't just run picks. You have to have every player who's down the field, and by that I mean more than a yard past the line of scrimmage, they have to be running a route. I guess technically you could walk towards the sideline and do nothing if you wanted to, but realistically you can't be doing something that is simply designed to get in another defender's way. So watch how on this play you see there is a Chargers player who's actually doing exactly that, where he is running forward and he is getting in the way of a Giants defender. And really what it comes down to is you have to turn around and make it seem as though you are running a route. It's not great offense right here. So because of this, the flag is going to come out, which isn't the end of the world on a 3rd and 6. It's not ideal, but not the end of the world. However, things are going to get even worse when the Chargers receiver who's running the route, watch him end up tripping over his own guy who was blocking. So not only was this an illegal pick play, but you picked your own guy, and this ends up as an interception. So Herbert ends up with 2 picks on the day, and I gotta be honest, I have a hard time crushing him for either one, because one was a tipped pass, which I never blame quarterbacks on, really, unless there's very specific situation, but I doubt there would be. Those are just kind of bad luck plays, or I guess I should say good defense plays, and this is still a good defensive play, but this is horrible offense by the Chargers. So yeah, I mean, to me, that's kind of what I saw. I'm someone who has said a lot, games are won on the outside, and as good as this Giants defensive front can be, really it was the secondary for the Giants that I thought was the big story in this one, and how they were able to ultimately get the victory. Give credit to the Giants, right? Give credit to the Giants defense. They were able to make these plays. Is there reason to be concerned? Well, not next week. You play the Commanders next week. If you can't get anything going, honestly, against the Commanders and then Dolphins the next 2 weeks, if you can't get anything going with those two against those two defenses, then it's time to be concerned. But for this game, they've had success. You're not going to have success every week. I'm sure you would have loved to get out of there still with a win, which totally could have happened given the close game, and certainly disappointing with the Chiefs looking like the Chiefs again to drop this one. But season's far from over. You're going to lose games in the NFL, but ultimately they have to execute these plays better. And that can be, some of these stuff can be easy, right? Like catch the ball, run these rub routes more effectively. You do those things and the rest will follow. But yeah, those are my thoughts on all of this from Herbert. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.